I'm Deanna. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. Today I am working on hooking with nylon. I've got this new design that I just brought out that is coming out as a class and a kit. It's called Cottontail Lane. You can see it's a kind of folk art bunny, like an Easter bunny, with a bunch of eggs underneath. And this whole piece is being hooked with yarn, with the exception of the eggs, which is being hooked with nylons that I've dyed. Now, it is so much fun to dye nylons and hook with nylons. Nylon stocking dyeing, sometimes called Grenfell style. It's a very historic technique, very fun, remarkably durable, considering that these are pantyhose, right? So with all of these pantyhose, we have different kinds of varieties. The ones that are all opaque or mostly opaque, and the ones that are a bit more transparent, you can see, and they all hook beautifully. So for example, in here, I've got a little bit of opaque here, and the rest of this egg is all this see-through pantyhose, right? The real sheer. And it hooks beautifully. It has more of a glow to it. The opaque looks more like any other material that you would hook. Also very, very pretty, but nice combinations. So the question becomes, if you're going to hook with pantyhose, how do you do it? How do you cut it? Well, there's only really two ways that you could cut it or would cut it, right? So for example, let's say I'm going to hook with this piece here. The top is really high control, right? The extra ultra support. I'm going to cut that off for now. That's going to hook beautifully, but the same way I would hook anything. I want to show you the parts that are more difficult. This is like right now a piece of calamari or bracelet, right? So I could just cut this into rings like this and just hook with it. That's what I'm going to do here a little ways down. I'm going to show you my favorite way of cutting, because when you think about it, a pantyhose, this is a single hose, either stretches more this way or this way, and it can differ from one to the next. For me, I like it when it has less stretch, right? Because then it gets all loopy and it stretches sometimes too much. I want a little bit more integrity. So for this one, it stretches less this way. That's usually the case. It usually stretches more the long way, because that's the part that you put your leg down into. Crossways, not so much, but the long way, it could go infinitely. So for me, I like to cut the pantyhose like calamari, like little rings, right? So I'm going to be cutting down. I'm not real careful about the way I cut. You could do it with a rotary or you could do it with scissors. The next question is, do I want to hook it like this, or do I want to cut it and hook it this way, right? So it could be either. You could hook it just as one ring, or you could separate it and make it into one long piece. Sometimes I start like this and then I decide it's too thin, it's taking too long, and I want to double it up underneath. It might be that you want to stick with your ring and you just hook that whole thing like double, right? Because it's already doubled. You don't cut it at all. So this goes real well working like this, right? I'm not going to stay with you for the whole time, but you can see there's some pieces coming up that are a little more sheer. You get nice fluffy variety, some big fat pieces, some smaller pieces. That's because I cut it with scissors, right? So it's going to hook really nice, really lush like that. Let's look at one that's a bit more challenging like this one, because this is, the top is the really, this is actually a double pair, a high support opaque, but the bottom is this real sheer stuff. So let's see how this would work. Now this is quite sheer, isn't it? I'm going to cut this a little bit wider because it's so sheer, and I'm not going to cut it. I want to double it up because I want there to be enough color and interest for me. So I'm going to come in here, and you can see the look of this is very different. It's much more translucent, transparent, like this egg over here, right? You got just a different look. You can see how much color comes through with them. That part doesn't change. It's really, I'm snagging some stuff here. It's really a nice effect. It's very different, isn't it? That was that whole little calamari piece that I just cut. This whole thing, just that. That's all it made, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops. Not bad, right? And you can see that even though this material is very sheer, right? Very sheer, it still does a nice job filling in color-wise. So pantyhose can give you this very opaque look. It can give you this very transparent look, translucent like here. And you can get any number of colors doing this, right? This is just, for me, dyeing with chemical dyes, but you could equally dye with, for example, the Easter kits, the PAAS, P-A-A-S, from the store, the pharmacy, right, that comes with the tablets. You could dye with those, right? And then you're not dealing with chemical dyes if you don't want to have a whole separate set of dyeing stuff, pots and pans and all that. Or you could dye with food coloring, you could dye with Kool-Aid. But when you are dyeing with chemical dyes, you do have the possibility of getting these kinds of speckled looks, right? Because the chemical dyes break and natural dyes don't. Things you would find in food coloring, Kool-Aid, paws, right? Those won't break this way. So if you like this kind of sort of speckly look, that's only done with chemical dyes. But you can get all the other effects, all this modeling you can get from food dyes and natural dyes. So you just choose the colors you want, and I have a different video on dyeing pantyhose and nylons. Very, very easy, very, very fast. And again, just with the cutting part and the working part, it's just a question of feeling for where less stretch is and cutting it either the long way or across like calamari, which is the way that I do it. And I think it goes fastest that way. You can look for this kit on Ribbon Candy Hooking. This is out now as a class and a kit. Super fun for Easter. We're in 2022. Good luck with your dyeing. Good luck with your hooking with nylons. I'll see you soon.